So the AI revolution is here, and to be honest, there's no putting this cat back in the bag. As podcasters, we need to be thinking about which tools are available to us and how we can leverage them to improve our workflow, creativity, and overall efficiency. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you two different AI tools, ChatGPT and ElevenLabs, and show you how you can start using them today in your podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Quinn and I'm here with the podcast consultant. In today's video, we're going to be talking about ChatGPT, which most of you probably know by now. And on top of that, we'll also be using ElevenLabs, which is a speech-to-text AI. I'm going to show you how to quickly drum up a script for the intro of your podcast, dump that into ElevenLabs, and before you know it, you have a nice recording to start your show. Be sure to stick around until the end of this video, where I'm also going to show you one cool feature that ElevenLabs has that not many people know about. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more podcast pro tips, and without further delay, let's dive in. So if we're going to be building an intro for our show, the first thing we need is a script. Now, there are plenty of ways to approach this using ChatGPT, but for the sake of this video, we're just going to drum up something quick and easy, and then also I'll give you a couple extra prompts you might want to use when it comes to writing your own script. Now, there are many other bots that are better at writing. Bots like Claude would be where I would start, but ChatGPT is free and it's already becoming the industry standard, so we'll just use that. So for the sake of the exercise, I'm going to say I work at an investment firm and I need an intro for my show. We're going to call it Top Dollar Investing. So we just go to a chat. There's a few different models you can use up here on the left side. There's Mini, which is really fast, Mini High, O3, but let's just use ChatGPT 4. So here's where you would type in what you need. You can also choose to use the dictate mode if you wanted to speak into the chatbot, or you can also use voice mode where you can engage with it like another person. For the sake of this, we're just going to quickly type something in and you'll see what I mean. Okay, so here's the little prompt I'm going to write, and we're just going to see what comes up. What I wrote was, I work at an investment firm and I'm launching a podcast. Great, you want to give context. Going from there, our show will be called Top Dollar Investing, and it's a show focused on helping the middle class get their finances in order and prepare for retirement. Sweet, you want to know what your show is about and who your audience is, so I'm hitting both there. Next, you want to give a bit more context as to what the show will look like in application, and in this case, I'm saying we will have guests as well as monologues, and I'll be hosting the show, Quinn McGraw. For fun, I named our investment firm TPC Investing LLC, and I need a script written for the intro of our show. Great, so this is the context, and then the next part you want to give is what the script or deliverable is going to be. In this case, I'm saying I want a 30 to 60 second long script, and then I also want the tone to be professional but relatable. Now, you can also include caveats here, and ChatGPT does very well when you tell it what not to do. So in this case, I'm saying important. Please don't use buzzwords like market landscape, deep dive, and all of those cliches that seem to find their way into a lot of podcast intros. I'm also just asking it to be original and personable. Okay, so let's see what we got. Welcome to Top Dollar Investing, the show where real people get real answers about money, investing, and preparing for the future. I'm Quinn McGraw, financial advisor, everyday guy, and your host. Not bad. Follow-up paragraph here. Each week we'll cut through the noise and talk plainly about how to make your money work for you, whether you're figuring out where to start or wondering if you're on track for retirement. I'll bring you conversations with experts, everyday success stories, and a few solo episodes where I share the tools and strategies I use with clients at TPC Investing. No jargon, no hype, just smart, steady steps to build a life and retirement you can feel good about. Fantastic. So that works for me. If this was an actual show, obviously I would go in here and I would edit, refine, tweak some things. For example, cut through the noise is somewhat cliche and gets used a lot, but for now, I think this will work. So now that we have our script, the next thing we want to do is have this actually being read to us. Commonly, if it was your show and you wanted to be in the production elements like the intro, the outro, or even the disclaimer, you would go ahead and you would record into a mic and you would just read the script. But because AI allows us to 10x our output and also our creativity, why not give that a shot? The next tool we're going to be using is ElevenLabs, and it's going to take this script and read it to us and provide a recording that we can use in our podcast. There's a bunch of different voices that you can choose from its built-in library, as well as create your own voice from a text prompt. But be sure to stick around until the end because I'm going to show you one additional feature it has that we sometimes use when we're in a pinch here at the Podcast Consultant. So I've gone ahead and I've opened ElevenLabs, and it can feel a little intimidating, but really all you need to worry about is the left bar here, where that's going to be the majority of where you're navigating on this website. So as you can see, there's a spot for voices, which are the voices that come from the library, and also tons of just user-generated voices and things like this. And then there's the text-to-speech area, which is what we're going to be playing with. First things first, we're going to grab our script. We're going to bring this in. We're going to use text-to-speech, and right in here, we're just going to drop in our script. Now, because I'm the host and someone else is going to read this, I am going to modify this script just a little bit. On top of that, you want to remove anything that is going to be a prompt or suggestion or a cue, because it will literally read anything inside this box. So in this case, I'll just remove that, and that should be everything. So now that I have my script, over here on the right side, there's a bunch of different voices that you can choose from. You can also sample them, so I'll play a couple now so you can get an idea.
There is no greater harm than that of time wasted.
As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
So you get the idea. There's a ton of different voices, and they're actually pretty high quality, and their algorithm has managed to successfully capture some of the nuance and fluctuations of human speech, so it doesn't feel too robotic. Sometimes you can tell, but it depends on the voice. So those are the default voices, and they're stock in every account, and then we also have some voice library top picks. So I'm going to take a look in these, and let's go for Mark, a young casual adult. So we'll add to our voices, and then Mark is selected up here. So I have Mark selected as the voice I want to read my script. Now, the main controls you want to be thinking about is the speed that it reads. So I'm probably going to have this be a bit slower. I want that sultry intro vibe. The stability is going to be how consistent it is from read to read, as well as give you the option to have something a bit more monotone or a little less monotone, depending on how much character you want. And then the similarity as well from generation to generation. So we want the similarity to be pretty high. I want a little slower, and a bit of character is good, but maybe slightly monotone so it gives us that radio voice. You can also exaggerate the style, but I'm not going to worry about that. So once we have that all done, I'm going to hit generate speech, and then as you'll see, as it's reading it, what it's going to do is play it back for us so we can hear what it sounds like.
Welcome to Top Dollar Investing, the show where real people get real answers about money, investing, and preparing for the future. Financial advice from financial advisors, everyday guys, and your hosts, Quinn McGraw and Easton Doran. Each week, we'll cut through the noise and talk plainly about how to make your money work for you.
So it's good, but it's a bit too slow. So I'm going to crank the speed up a little bit, but overall, I'm actually really impressed. It sounds like a real person, very relatable, middle-class dude doing his thing. So let's try that one more time.
Welcome to Top Dollar Investing, the show where real people get real answers about money, investing, and preparing for the future. This is Top Dollar Investing. Let's get started.
I don't want to lose this generation, so I'm going to download that right now. Overall, pretty good. Now, there are certain things you can do if you wanted to improve some of this script. For example, you could say this tagline here. It's pretty close, but I'm not crazy about how he said it. I think the inflection sounded a bit weird and forced. I want him to come down for a landing, so I can remove everything else. I'm going to slow it down a little bit more, actually.
This is Top Dollar Investing. Let's get started.
Not bad, not as much energy as I'd like, but you get the idea. So now that we have our assets, I'm just gonna load it quickly into my DAW. I use Reaper and show you what it would sound like in application if it was actually an intro to a podcast. Okay, so I've loaded the audio in. I just went ahead and grabbed a corporate rock style groove, which is pretty standard for a lot of finance shows. I'm just gonna go ahead and mix this down really quick, and then let's see how our intro turned out. Top Dollar Investing, the intro.
Welcome to Top Dollar Investing, the show where real people get real answers about money, investing, and preparing for the future.
Honestly, overall, this probably took me a whole of 2 or 3 minutes, and I have a decent sounding intro for my show that's going to require a little bit of work to get it to where it needs to be, but it's pretty much ready to publish. So last but not least, there's one cool thing I want to show you about ElevenLabs that, believe it or not, I can clone my own voice and then have me read the script without even having to hit record on my own microphone or computer. So in order to clone your voice, you will have to have some audio of your voice recorded, because otherwise the app won't know what you sound like. Okay, so now we're back inside of ElevenLabs. I have a few high quality recording segments that I'm going to load into a custom cloner bot. So inside of here, what you're going to want to do is pop over to Voices. So I hit create and clone a voice, and then you have 3 options here. So you can design a voice, which means instead of just using the pre-made ones and tweaking them to your liking, you can actually write what type of voice you want it to sound like, and it will generate a bot for you. You can use the instant voice clone, which is going to be giving it a few minutes of audio, and then it's going to just quickly drum one up, which actually gets pretty close results as far as what my voice sounds like versus what the bot sounds like. There is the professional voice clone, and this one pretty comprehensive. It can get really good results, but you do have to have a higher paid plan to use it. So for now, we're just going to use instant voice clone. I'm going to click that. So I've gone ahead and I've added 3 snippets. They're about 20 to 25 seconds each, and it's worth noting it's going to replicate what the source audio sounds like. So you want a high quality, processed, nice sounding recording. Otherwise, if you just hand it something that's really low fidelity, it's going to generate based on that, because it's not only going for the sound of your voice, it's also going for the sound of the recording. So I have 3 snippets here. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. So I'll call this one the Quinn TPC test, English language, and then test for TPC video. Back over here, I'm going to go text to speech. So I'm going to grab my script that I have. I'm going to load that in here, and then I'm going to leave it as the original script because it's allegedly going to be me talking. Let's see how it worked.
Welcome to Top Dollar Investing, the show where real people get real answers about money, investing, and preparing for the future.
So it feels a little robotic because I tend to have a bit more inflection in my voice. So we're going to take the stability and turn it back. We want the similarity high, and I'm going to speak a little bit slower. Okay, so let's see how it went.
Welcome to Top Dollar Investing, the show where real people get real answers about money, investing, and preparing for the future. I am Quinn McGraw, financial advisor, everyday guy, and your host.
It still sounds a little bit like a robot, but honestly, it's not bad. And if you want to use the higher paid plan, you can customize it and it becomes a lot better. Ways that this can work well is if, say, you need to insert a couple words or retake a line from a podcast and you've already recorded it and maybe you're on the road, you can just clone your voice, go ahead and punch that line in. And most of the time, after a few generations, you can get something that's pretty easy to hide amidst the rest of your podcast. So, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something today. There are so many tools like this at your disposal, and honestly, as a creative, it'd be kind of silly to not take advantage of them. Like I said, the cat's not going back in the bag any day soon, and I personally see these tools as ways that we can actually increase our creative output, not necessarily replace creatives entirely. That said, if you do need a professional voiceover or some music or help writing your script, we at the Podcast Consultant would be more than happy to help you, and you can book a free discovery call in the link below today. What are some of the tools in AI that you use today that help you with your podcast? We'd love to hear all about it in the comments. As always, appreciate you watching. I'm Quinn from the Podcast Consultant, and if I don't hear from you soon, wishing you all the best and happy recording.